There comes a specific, chilling moment in any long-simmering family feud when the backroom whispers stop and the front-page headlines begin. For the House of Windsor, that moment is no longer approaching, it has arrived. After years of carefully managed silence, of the infamous never complain, never explain doctrine being tested to its absolute breaking point, the future King of England has reportedly drawn a line so deep, so final, that it threatens to sever the last remaining threads of the so-called Fab for Dream. Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge and heir to the throne, is not just angry, according to new, deeply sourced intelligence from within the royal household. He is, by all accounts, operationally decisive. He has moved past the phase of familial hurt and entered a phase of institutional protection. The plan he is said to be assembling is not a rash outburst following a particularly scathing Netflix episode. It is a three-pronged strategy designed to nullify the Sussex influence permanently, to protect the sanctity of the coronation, and to ensure that when he finally wears the crown, his brother is reduced to the status of a distant relative, legally, physically, and ceremonially. To understand the severity of William's reported ultimatum, one must first appreciate the unique psychological toll of the last half-decade. Biographers and courtiers who have spoken to the prince's inner circle describe a man fundamentally altered by the publication of Spare. It was not merely the revelation of physical altercations or the deeply personal discussions about his father's marriage that broke the trust. It was the premeditated nature of the attack. Sources close to the palace's private secretariat suggest that William views the memoir not as a therapeutic exercise gone wrong, but as a guided missile aimed at his legitimacy as a future monarch. For William, the ultimate betrayal was the commercial exploitation of their shared childhood trauma, specifically the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. He reportedly feels that Harry commodified their mother's memory, selling the intimacy of a grieving son to the highest streaming bidder. This is the foundational wound that no apology has healed, and it is why, according to a senior royal source who spoke on condition of anonymity to a major British broadsheet this week, William has told his father, King Charles III, that while he respects the king's desire for a unity platform, he reserves the right to completely dismantle the Sussex platform the moment the throne passes to him. The first and most explosive element of this final plan concerns the coronation. While King Charles's recent ascension brought a temporary, tentative truce, allowing Harry to attend the service at Westminster Abbey albeit without any formal roll or balcony appearance, William's future coronation will have no such grace. The plan, as described by seasoned royal correspondents, involves the invocation of ancient letters patent and a strict interpretation of the Regency Act. William intends to legally define working royals with such rigid parameters that Harry, Meghan, and their descendants will be automatically excluded from any state ceremony requiring the presence of the royal family. But it goes further than simple exclusion from the guest list. William is reportedly determined to abolish the Counselor of State status for non-working royals. Currently, senior royals over the age of 21 can stand in for the monarch. William wants that power stripped from Harry legally, not just verbally. If this goes through, even if William is abroad on state business, Harry would have zero legal standing to act on his behalf. It is a legislative ghosting, turning a brother into a legal non-entity within the Constitution. The second pillar of this shocking strategy is what insiders are calling the Atlantic Divider, a de facto restraining order that operates without the need for British courts. William has allegedly made it clear to the King's Security Coordination Committee that he will refuse to sign off on any future security provision for Harry when he is back on British soil, unless Harry remains a minimum distance from William's own residence, Adelaide Cottage. But the truly radical layer here is the digital divide. William is reportedly investing heavily in a digital firewall for the monarchy. Sources suggest that Buckingham Palace's communications team has been given a directive that will become absolute upon William's accession. No royal social media account may follow, like, or interact with any entity associated with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Furthermore, the Royal Rota, the group of journalists accredited to the palace, will be instructed to avoid photographing William and Kate in settings where the Sussexes might be digitally superimposed or referenced. This is about controlling the visual narrative. William has seen how easily a paparazzi shot of a cold stare can be clipped and turned into viral propaganda. His plan is to starve that content machine entirely. He will not give them the oxygen of proximity. However, the third element of the plan is the one that legal experts believe will cause the most seismic shift: the absolute and final revocation of the Duke of Sussex title for non-royal commercial use. Legally, the title Duke of Sussex is a peerage granted by the sovereign. While the title cannot be stripped via a simple vote in Parliament without an act of attainder, which is nearly impossible in modern times without a criminal conviction, William has reportedly found a loophole: suppression. He plans to issue a royal decree that while Harry may retain the courtesy title, he cannot use the geographic designation Sussex for any commercial enterprise without express royal consent. This would affect everything from their Archwell Foundation letterheads to the branding of their Netflix production company. It mirrors the way that the Duke of Windsor was allowed to keep his title, but was stripped of the royal highness for his wife and descendants. William's twist is that he will allow Harry to keep the HRH as a private citizen, but he will ban the use of the name Sussex as a trade name. For a brand that has built an entire empire from book deals to podcasts on the cachet of that single word, this is existential. It would force Harry to trade under the name Mountbatten Windsor, a surname associated with formality and taxes, not California cool. The authenticity of this plan cannot be dismissed as tabloid fantasy, because the legal groundwork is already visible. Look closely at the King's recent decision to evict Harry and Meghan from Frogmore Cottage. While the public saw this as a punishment for Spare, royal insiders now frame it as a pilot program for William's larger vision. By taking away the physical foothold in Windsor, they force the Sussexes to rely entirely on hotel stays or friends' homes when in the UK. The next step, which William is reportedly drafting, is to change the royal travel guidelines. Currently, members of the family can use the royal train or helicopters for security. William's amendment will stipulate that any non-working royal traveling to the UK for a private, commercial venture, such as promoting a memoir or a television show, must fund their own police protection at the standard civilian rate, which can run upwards of $5,000 per day. Given that Harry's legal battles regarding taxpayer-funded security have been ongoing and contentious, this financial pressure is designed to be prohibitive. It is a soft exile. William is effectively saying, you wanted financial independence. You will have it absolutely down to the last bullet point of your security detail. Why is William acting with such apparent ruthlessness now while his father is still on the throne? The answer lies in the shifting demographics of the monarchy. King Charles is a transitional figure. His reign is defined by a desire to slim down the institution, but he remains emotionally invested in keeping his darling boy Harry at arm's length, not cutting him off completely. William does not share this sentimentality. Those who have observed the two brothers since childhood note a fundamental difference in their perception of duty. For Charles, the crown is a sacred trust inherited from his mother. For William, it is a management problem he is preparing to fix. The catalyst for William's finality is reportedly not the past, but the near future. Meghan's reported re-entry into the lifestyle and influencer space, coupled with the potential for a tell-all sequel to Spare, has convinced William that the Sussexes will never voluntarily fade into obscurity. Therefore, he must build a legal and structural cage around them. He is treating them not as family, but as a hostile media competitor. In boardroom terms, William is engaging in a hostile takeover of the narrative, forcing the Sussex brand into a demerger. There is also the deeply personal factor of the Wales children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. William's plan has a specific, stringent proximity clause regarding the heirs. According to a former Met Police protection officer who briefed a legal team on the matter, William intends to use the minor royal status to ensure that Harry cannot be present at any educational or extracurricular event involving George. This goes beyond the coronation or state dinners. If George is attending a military parade at Sandhurst in the future, and Harry is in the country, William's security protocol will require Harry to give 72 hours notice of his location, effectively allowing the palace to counterschedule William's family to avoid accidental run-ins. It is a logistical divorce. This is not about hatred necessarily, it is about risk assessment. William views the unpredictability of his brother, the impromptu Zoom calls, the surprise visits to London, the near-catastrophic car chases in New York, as a vulnerability that his children cannot afford. The authenticity of this final plan is further supported by the changing tone of the media briefings from Kensington Palace. For years, the tactic was silence. Lately, however, there has been a shift toward authorized anonymity. Stories are no longer being leaked to deny Sussex claims, they are being leaked to establish William's position as the unmoved mover. A recent piece in the Times of London quoted a family friend saying, "William is not cruel, but he is absolute. He has drawn a map of the future, and on that map the Americas are on one side, and the monarchy is on the other." This language of cartography and finality is deliberate. It signals to the British public that the era of reconciliation is over. The monarchy under William will not just endure the Sussex saga, it will legislate it into irrelevance. Legally speaking, can William actually strip titles? This is where the plan shows its sophistication. Unlike a peerage, which requires an act of parliament, the use of a territorial designation for a business falls under the purview of the Royal Marriages Act 1772 and modern trademark laws. The Crown owns the rights to the names of the duchies. William's legal team has reportedly found that while Harry remains the Duke of Sussex, the intellectual property of the name Sussex as a royal brand belongs to the Crown estate. Essentially, William will send a cease and desist to any American or British network that uses Sussex in association with paid content without a license from the palace. This is a revolutionary approach. It changes the game from titles to trademarks. If Netflix cannot legally market Harry and Meghan, the Sussexes, without paying a fee to William's charitable foundation, the economics of their future production deals collapses overnight. Furthermore, the plan addresses the spare sequel problem. Harry has reportedly signed a multi-book deal with Penguin Random House. William's countermove is to invoke the public interest clause regarding the privacy of the monarchy. While the UK has strict libel laws, William will reportedly push for a non-molestation order that applies to speech. This is unprecedented, but sources indicate that William is prepared to take the stand himself. He will testify that Harry's public accusations, specifically the alleged racism within the family, have caused direct financial damage to the Royal Collection Trust and the UK tourism sector. By tying the Sussex narrative to economic harm, William can sue for defamation on behalf of the institution, not just the individual. This would turn every future interview of Harry into a potential breach of a court order, not just a family annoyance. Let us examine the practical reality of the de facto restraining order. In the UK, restraining orders are civil, but a future monarch has a unique tool, the royal warrant of appointment. William plans to revise the rules of the warrant. Companies that hold a royal warrant, like Burberry, Cadbury, or Jaguar, are normally barred from employing convicted criminals or those who have brought the monarchy into disrepute. William's new clause will extend this to associates. If a company hires the Sussexes for a commercial, that company risks losing their royal warrant. Given that a warrant is worth millions in prestige to luxury British brands, this creates a chilling effect on the commercial market. It isolates the Sussexes from corporate Britain. It means that while they can speak to Oprah, they cannot easily sign a deal with a British bank or airline. It is economic sanctions applied via the privy purse. The role of King Charles in this final plan is tragic but necessary. Charles is reportedly acting as the soft barrier to William's harder edge. While the king undergoes treatment for his undisclosed cancer, he has delegated more authority to William as a counselor of state. During this period, William has been allowed to review the royal accounts and security protocols. It was during this review that William found the weak spots, the fact that Harry still technically holds a commission as a Captain General of the Royal Marines. Although the Queen stripped Harry of his military patronages, William is now moving to formally abolish those roles entirely. He wants to rename Captain General to a new title that cannot be retroactively claimed by Harry. This is about severing the military link. For Harry, a veteran who served 2 tours in Afghanistan, the loss of the Royal Marines role was devastating. William's final plan ensures he can never get it back, even if relations thaw. There is no path to redemption written into this plan. How does the Duchess of Cambridge fit into this strategy? Kate Middleton, now the Princess of Wales, is reportedly the silent architect of the emotional distance. Those who know the couple say that while William is legally aggressive, Kate is psychologically absolute. She has personally enforced the rule that the Wales children do not refer to Uncle Harry in the present tense. In the Wales household, Harry has been recontextualized as Papa's brother from far away. This linguistic distancing is a classic psychological technique to erase familiarity. Furthermore, Kate's presence at any future event is used as a human shield. Knowing that the press is desperate for a Fab Four reunion, William's team ensures that Kate is never photographed in the same country as Meghan. The last time they shared a frame, the body language experts dissected it for weeks. William's final plan is to deny the media that content entirely. By keeping Kate in the UK while the Sussexes are in the US and vice versa, he enforces a visual embargo. Looking at the international reaction, particularly from the United States, this plan is a gamble. The American press has often romanticized the Sussexes as escapees from a stuffy system. However, William's team is betting on American individualism. The U.S. market respects tough love and consequences. If William frames this not as a royal tantrum, but as a CEO protecting a family business from a rogue employee who shared trade secrets, i.e. private family texts and emails, the American public might sympathize with William. Indeed, recent polling in the U.S. by YouGov shows that while Meghan is popular, William's stoic leadership is actually viewed more favorably than Harry's emotional volatility among viewers over 40. William is leaning into this. His plan includes a major media blitz, a sit-down interview, his first major one since becoming heir, where he will speak about the future without mentioning Harry. It will be an interview that is all about the crown and nothing about the drama, which in itself is a devastating rebuke to the Sussex model of monetizing family pain. The security implications of the final plan are immense. If Harry is stripped of his UK security status, he cannot visit military bases or schools associated with the crown. But William's plan goes further. He intends to revoke the diplomatic passport privileges that senior royals retain. While Harry has a standard British passport, as a non-working royal, he will soon be subject to the same visa restrictions as any other citizen. This means that if Harry is ever arrested for a protest or a paparazzi altercation, William will not intervene. The palace will issue a statement. The Duke is a private citizen. His legal matters are his own. This is the nuclear option. It removes the protective halo of the crown that has shielded Harry from the full force of consequences his entire life. For the first time, Harry would be truly alone in the world, legally speaking, without the safety net of the sovereign. We must also address the financial mechanics. The sovereign grant is public money. William has reportedly ordered a forensic audit of all payments made to the Sussexes between 2018 and 2020. He wants to establish that the Frogmore refurbishment costs were paid back by the Sussexes, but he is also exploring whether the terms of their departure agreement can be renegotiated retroactively if they continue to breach the Megxit deal. The original Sandringham Summit Agreement stipulated that the Sussexes would not monetize their royal status. William's lawyers argue that every podcast, every memoir, and every Netflix scene is a breach of contract. If William can prove this in a British court, he can demand repayment of the millions spent on their transition, effectively bankrupting Archwell Productions before it even gets off the ground. This is not just a plan, it is a legal war fought with spreadsheets and subpoenas. The authenticity of these sources is bolstered by the silence of Omid Scobie, the Sussex-friendly author. In the past, Scobie would have rushed out a mutual source denying these claims. This time, his response has been muted, focusing only on a vague sadness about the family division. Insiders suggest that Scobie has seen the legal paperwork William is drafting. He knows that the final plan is not a bluff, it is a pre-action protocol letter. It is the legal equivalent of a hand grenade with the pin already pulled. The only thing delaying the explosion is the health and timeline of King Charles. The moment William is king, the pin comes out. Furthermore, this plan addresses the Sussex children loophole. Archie and Lilibet currently hold the titles of Prince and Princess, though not HRH. William accepts this as the law under George V's letters patent. However, his plan quietly states that upon his accession, he will issue new letters patent declaring that only the children of the sovereign and the children of the Prince of Wales, the direct heir, shall hold princely titles. This would strip Archie and Lilibet of their prince/princess status upon William's ascension, not retroactively, but moving forward. It relegates the Sussex children to the status of the children of a duke, like Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, who have no royal duties. It is a generational cut. It ensures that the California branch of the family tree withers on the vine, producing no future working royals, no royal duties, and no claim to the civil list. The psychology of this moment is key. William is not acting from a place of vengeance, but from a place of management. He sees the monarchy as a fragile institution in a volatile world. The rise of republicanism in the Caribbean, the scrutiny of the finances, the demands for a slimmed-down crown, all of these pressures mean the monarchy cannot afford a rebel prince draining its resources and credibility. By finalizing this plan now, even if it is only implemented later, William is signaling to the civil service and the government that there is a stable transition ahead. He is the anti-Harry, predictable, boring, and utterly ruthless in defense of the status quo. This is his greatest weapon. Harry is chaotic energy. William is structural inertia. In a war between chaos and bureaucracy, bureaucracy always wins eventually. Finally, what does this mean for the Sussex brand in the immediate future? It means the clock is ticking. Every deal they sign now is on borrowed time. William's plan has a sunset clause for commercial entities. He will give the streaming services and publishers 12 months' notice that the royal branding cannot be used. This is why we are seeing a sudden pivot from Meghan into jam-making and lifestyle American Riviera orchard. She is diversifying away from the Sussex name before it is rendered legally inert. She is building a brand based on California and motherhood, not the crown. This is the smart play. She sees the wall coming. Harry, however, remains tethered to the spare narrative. William's final plan is designed to drive a wedge between the couple's commercial interests. It forces Harry to choose, stay in the US and watch his relevance fade, or return to the UK and accept his brother's terms, which are terms of surrender, not peace. In conclusion, the script for the next chapter of the House of Windsor has been written, and it is a tragedy of logic rather than passion. Prince William has played the long game. He waited through the Oprah interview. He waited through the Netflix series. He waited through the book. He waited while his father fought cancer. Now, the waiting is over. The shocking plan is not shocking because it is cruel. It is shocking because it is so total. It covers the law, the titles, the money, the children, and the geography. It leaves no room for a Christmas miracle or a deathbed reconciliation. It imposes a finality that the British monarchy has not seen since the abdication of Edward VIII, and even that was messier than this. The authenticity of this report rests on the simple, observable truth that the infrastructure is already being built. The letters patent are being drafted. The security protocols are being written. The legal audits are being conducted. It is a slow-motion coup within the family, executed by the heir apparent with the precision of a military operation. For the public who watch them walk behind their mother's coffin together, this is heartbreaking. But for the institution, this is survival. William has decided that the monarchy can no longer be held hostage by the whims of his younger brother. He has had enough, and his final answer to the Sussex problem is not a compromise, it is a verdict. The crown will move forward, and the Duke of Sussex will be left standing alone on the tarmac, watching the plane depart, holding a title that means nothing in a country that is no longer his home. The game is done. The plan is final, and nothing, not a plea, not a documentary, not a book, will change it.